Well, let's talk then a bit more about what may be ahead for Donald Trump. I'm joined on the line by former New York Assistant Attorney General Reed Brody. Welcome to the programme, sir. Thanks for joining us. I wonder how strong you think this indictment against Donald Trump is.
Well, I've read the indictment, and it is incredibly detailed and granular at the same time that it's expansive. I think it's the first indictment that really tells the story of from A to Z of how Donald Trump and this conspiracy, as the prosecutor calls it, came together to try to overturn the results in Georgia and in other states. And it's really, there's a wealth of detail here. And I think it's going to be very hard for Donald Trump to get out of this. I mean, the prosecutor really threw the book at him, as we say.
Well, we know in all likelihood what a part of Donald Trump's defense will be. He will say, as he said before, that this is a political witch hunt. And, you know, his allies say if the attorney in this case in Georgia, Fani Willis, had wanted to prosecute Trump, she could have done it a while ago. She could have done it a year ago, a year and a half ago. Is there a political element to this? Why do it now when we are thinking about who might be the Republican nominee for the presidency?
Well, I do agree that this should have come earlier. I believe all of the cases should have come earlier, or at least the cases that the two election interference cases, which deal with events that took place 2.5 years ago. There is not very much new in this indictment, other than really the focus, a very interesting focus on the attempt to actually copy this election software in a county in Georgia. The rest of it are things that everybody really knew. I mean, the phone call took place 2.5 years ago. So one would have hoped that all of this indictment, the federal indictments, could have been done a long time ago and pose less of an interference to the election. I think in that sense, Donald Trump is right. We're now in a race against the clock. And this indictment, certainly because it is so complex, because there are 19 different defendants, as well as 30 unindicted co-conspirators, it's going to take much longer. This case will not be first in line. I mean, the federal indictment by Jack Smith for the election interference was specifically streamlined. There was only Trump accused, very sticking to the bare bones of the story. I think in the hope that you would get a very quick trial. I can't see, even though Fani Willis wants to see this case go forward in the next 6 months, I can't see that happening. I think there's a good chance that this case will not even come to trial before the elections.
And that's quite a thought, isn't it? That in theory, Donald Trump, at the moment the most likely candidate for the Republican nominee for the presidency, could win the election, become the US president, with this trial still hanging over him. I mean, what might that look like if we get to that point? There's a lot of ifs, but given your expertise, I wonder what you think.
Well, there's no way to know this. How do you prosecute a sitting president? How do you, the RICO statute has a mandatory minimum sentence. I mean, can the state of Georgia require that a president come to trial? Can the state of Georgia require that the president go to jail in Georgia? These are really uncharted territory. I mean, the question, of course, does also presuppose a very interesting and important fact, which is that these are state charges, unlike the federal charges, which if Donald Trump becomes president of the United States, and of course, America, frankly, will have greater problems than this indictment if Donald Trump becomes president of the United States. But Donald Trump would presumably drop all the charges. He would just instruct his Attorney General to drop all the federal charges against him if they're still pending, or he would pardon himself if he had been convicted. He can't do that with state charges. He has no control over the state judiciary in Georgia. So we would theoretically be in uncharted territory here.
Well, I think we'll have to leave it there. Quite a thought, though. Thank you very much indeed. Reed Brody talking to us there, former New York Assistant Attorney General. Thank you.
You're welcome.